So China's IPO market still suspended and no deadline on when those reforms will kick in. Joining us with more on this is Simon Xu. He's the investment advisor and founder of Cornerstone Financial Strategies. Simon, thanks for joining us. When can we expect to see these reforms kick in and the suspension end?
The rumor says at the end of July, and I personally believe maybe no later than the end of September, or maybe the early October, because they start this on the freezing on the last October. It's been 1 year. And a year is a long time to suspend the IPO to go public.
Absolutely, a year is a long time, and a lot of reforms being implemented. What are some of the most significant reforms?
I believe the most significant reforms for most of the rules we read about is they get the other parties involved instead of just the company, right? And they get the financial advisors and the investment bankers and that involved. So if you have a public offering and then the company goes under, if their profit goes down more than 50%, or if they are they have a net loss, they have to punish not only the company, also the investment banker and the financial advisor that advise them.
Right, there are a lot of quite severe penalties leveled against investment banks. Is this in line with how other IPO markets operate? Are these penalties more severe or less severe than other places?
I believe it needs to be more severe than this, because if you still remember in year 2000, when the everyone goes into trouble, because the upper management, they try to hide the financial details of the financial situation of the company, and their auditors, one of the big six, the accounting firm, they work with them to hide those data.
Right.
That caused a lot the market bankruptcy, and also the investor lose money, and the employees lose their retirement savings and jobs and the 401ks, pensions, which later on they make sure all the CFOs of any public companies to personally sign the financial statement to guarantee the statement is accurate, so they can trace their back to do that.
So you are all for the stricter reforms, the better. Now one of the stricter regulations, the better. One of the other reforms is that the CSRC gives the company 12 months to decide when to have its IPO after it's been approved.
That's a totally different issue, because right now the Chinese market is very weak. So if you go public right now, go listing right now, so it's not guaranteed your price will go up. Most likely you can go down. So they really approve the company, but they still have 12 months to decide when's the best time, when the market goes stronger, to put the company in listing. So it's going to help the price go higher and also help the market have a more positive mentality.
Now, in the meantime, some companies have been getting frustrated with this process and have chosen to list in Hong Kong instead. Do you think this could be a trend that potentially continues in the future, even after the freeze is ended?
I believe Hong Kong is part of China right now. So if you raise money in Hong Kong to China, it will be considered as the same thing as you raise money in China. But I believe for the long term, the trend will be in China, because China is growing and developing. And I believe for any developing country, there's always some issues for security fraud and something like that.
Right.
So it takes time to make it better and getting better. But eventually, I believe China, especially Shanghai stock market, is a big market. You attract the international investors to China in the future.
We've seen a lot of companies in the pipeline kind of back off from wanting to have their IPOs. Applicants have shrunk 17% since this. What is this telling us, that these companies wouldn't have measured up?
There are roughly 900 companies was on the list, on the pipeline, but only 296, they changed their mind. Most of the time, it's not they changed their mind. It's like when they go through those auditing, they didn't pass. Some of them has the fraud, some of them has the inaccurate financial statement, and I believe only a few percentage, they lose their patience, so they have to go offshore.
So do you think this will result in restoring investor confidence?
Definitely, because the restrict rules is going to restore the confidence and more transparent to the public. So people will have more confidence of the company's financial data and stuff like that. Because for us, for general investors, we have no idea, what's the company doing besides the data. But the data is inaccurate, so they lose the fundamental to look at. So I believe these restricting rules will help the company for the future.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us again, Simon Xu, investment advisor and founder of Cornerstone Financial Strategies.